Okay, we're live. Let's see. Hi, fam. Hey, long time no see. I hope you are joining. I'm not sure. I'm not seeing anything on this side. Please let me know when you do see me and you can hear me. Yes, I think I see someone. Let me know if you can hear me and see me. We have a guest today, by the way. And since we have a guest, I wanted people to be nice. I have put in, hey, Led Clinton. Hi, Abrafo from Miami. I set the live stream to only subscribers can like write a comment because, you know, when we have guests, we would like people to be nice. And I know subscribers are very nice. It's the ones that just come to check what you're doing that say the most. So hi everyone, I can see Susan. Hey there, I'm here. Hi Miss Goddess K, thank you for coming. All of you have sent our guest the link, so when he does join, I'll put him up here. Hi, I can see people are joining. Hi Bob, hi Moha, hi Haji. Thank you Dynamite for telling me that I am loud and clear. Perfect. Perfect. Long time no see, right? I think the last time I went live, it was like 3 weeks? Or is it 2 weeks? It's been a while. It's definitely been a while. You know, life sometimes it's just not everything works out the way you want it to. So I was not able to. Hi, Moha. So that's why. But this week and hopefully also next week, we'll be here live. And starting next week, maybe not next week, but the week after that, we're going to start going live at 9. Because the last live stream was popping. I'm telling you, like, everybody showed up because of timing. They were telling me after 9 p.m. for me, for you guys, wherever you are, this time, but 2 hours later than this time works best for them. So I have to listen to you guys. Bob said, I don't know whether it's my net or yours. It's a bit sluggish. Only serious people in this chat right now. You're doing a great work. Thank you. It's probably mine, Bob. I highly doubt it's yours because it's been raining and stuff here. During the live, electricity might even decide to disappear. That's why I brought this tiny... Oh, our guest is requesting to join. That's why I brought this tiny thing that YouTube gave us, like to give me light in case it decides to disappear. I'll just light it from here. Because, yeah, network has been bad. But is it too bad? I really hope it's not too bad. I hope so. Let's bring Honorable. But if you guys say it's too bad, should I... Let me know. Maybe I should remove myself and get it back. I really hope you can hear me clearly, but let's see. I have... Okay, let me add...
Hello?
Hi, how are you? Can you hear me okay and see me okay? They're telling me there's a lag or like it's not clear.
A little bit, but I can be better.
Okay, I'm sorry. It's my network. I apologize. Probably my network.
It could be mine.
Even yours? Okay, I guess it's everyone. Don't feel too bad.
How you doing?
I'm doing well. Thank you so much. I don't know. Let me see. Okay, they're saying it's now much better. Good.
All right.
Hopefully, yeah. So,
I
well,
can't tell if I'm too close to the screen or if I'm too far.
no, you're okay. I'm probably too close, actually. Let me just grab that.
Gotcha.
Discussions on what's happening and also what you're doing. So it's free flow on this channel. Usually, I know like you are more structured and stuff. For me, it's just like a conversation, having a discussion with like a friend.
Uh,
That's the vibe here. So, welcome. First, I want to welcome you, honorable, right? I don't want.
yes,
Yes.
yes.
Yeah, okay, Honorable Eric, welcome. And yeah, here we have our family. They're gonna ask you questions after we're done discussing. They can say whatever they want to say, except being disrespectful. But welcome, and let us know what you do first. Maybe you can tell us about AOE, and then
Okay,
yeah, we'll talk about what is happening right now in Africa.
got it. Okay, so I want to first introduce myself. My name is Eric Wiafe. Uh, I'm from Ghana. I'm currently living in the U.S. Met with Miguel on AOE Live weeks ago, and we discussed Agenda 2063, the African Union, and several other topics. My background right now is as a strategy analyst, talking about things in Africa and how we can improve on them. I know many times we talk about African problems and we don't necessarily come forward with the solutions to those problems. So that's my goal with AOE. And AOE, the terminology AOE stands for is Age of Enlightenment Africa. So it's AOE Africa. And the reason why I started AOE was to awaken Africans, I think, and also come up with solutions for Africans. Um, there's three parts to it. To awaken Africans, I want to talk about defining what an African way is and the standard, and developing more patriotism. We need to be more patriotic as Africans. So when I say the African way, I'm really talking about what is the African way. We're talking about when you see somebody who's from Asia, for instance, right? They have a certain standard. Like you would say, okay, an Asian is very creative. They have a lot of tech. They've created different type of technology. What is a Spanish man? What is a European man? And all those things. Really finding and making sure we fine tune and say, okay, this is what an African is. This is our standard of living, and we're not going to go back. We're not going to accept any less. And this is where we are. This is our standard, and the rest of the world has to meet us at that standard. So that's my goal with AOE. It's an organization that's putting out that type of positive media to let us know that we are capable, we are able to do these type of things, and make sure we live to that standard.
Awesome, and thank you for actually trying to do something about it. And I always say this, like at the end of the day, we might not do everything, or like we might not be in the position to do as much, but whatever we can individually, we just do, and that's I thank you for attempting to do that. Um, Thank you, the lioness, for the super chat. I really appreciate it. I have an interesting, I wanted us to talk about a coup. Someone wrote,
Okay.
all coups are funded by European powers. Interesting. Okay, I can
Mm,
go first, and then
okay.
you can tell us what your thoughts are. For me, Junin Zone, I don't believe all of them, but I see your point. I see your point, and we've seen that happening before, and even now, with the noise with, okay, I don't know if, why not, I'll name Gabon, with the recent coup, with the shady situation of the relationship, who set it up, and how everything is looking a bit not too clear. I get why people say like funded by so and so, or like this is the reason. They don't believe like the actual locals,
Right.
nationals are the ones standing up against those dictators, or leaders that are corrupt, or the puppets. But with that being said, I do not believe all, because Junine Zone, where I disagree with you is when you used the term all coups. I don't believe that, because for me, for example, Burkina Faso with Ibrahim Traore, it's going to be so hard for me to accept that that was funded or supported by Europeans. Literally, now, just last week, there was a coup attempt against him to remove him. So it's like, really? Because if those countries are cutting ties with those former colonial masters like France, and saying like, we're gonna cut this, we're gonna do this, why would France fund for their own demise? Like, I maybe Junine has his own idea.
On Coups, I just watched something, and I know none of these media companies are really reliable anymore, but I just watched something on Al Jazeera where they're saying that these coups are funded. They are infiltrated by Russia and China and Europe, Western powers to make them look like, Africa is revolting, and then in the back end, somebody's coming in through the back door and doing other things on the ground. So, I mean, with me, I think that statement that the person who commented said, with all, I agree with you. You can't always be all. It's hard to. That's so broad, and I think when you have stuff like what Ibrahim Traore, what you said is going on over there, that would be hard to believe. And even I think like Senegal and some of the places that have early coups, it'll still be hard to believe. A lot of the stuff is turning out to be like, when you look into it, I think like power,
Corrupt.
people ousting for power. Yeah, like I read a story that the Gabon one was like a family member, and he's taking it. So it's like they're trying to like, they're all alleged statements, but
Allegedly, yes, let's say that
alleged,
allegedly.
allegedly,
Thank you.
yes.
Yeah.
But
Uh-huh.
it does make you raise an eyebrow and say, maybe I should just take a back seat and not, maybe, we're all saying yay yay African Revolution, but maybe we should take a back seat and say, okay, let's look at this closely and see, are they trying to fool us? Is this a political attempt? Um, so yeah, I think in the grand scheme of it, if we do want any of this revolution that Africa is seeking, we do have to go into a route of maybe reshaping how our government and constitutional bodies are, because I think all these coups are happening because our structure is not fit in place for Africans.
Yeah, we really need to work on our institutions, because it doesn't matter if one leader comes and the other leaders goes. As long as we have that sound institution that works, it doesn't matter. Like, even corrupt leaders now can be pushed out just like that, because the system won't allow them to do whatever they please. Now it's like they're the ones that are the law, the rule, like they literally
Yes,
feel like that's theirs. Like, we are their properties. We're peasants, and the country belongs to them. We're just there to serve them. That's
yes.
what we've been seeing thus far.
Yes, and to that point, I mean, so when you have somebody who's in the military, people can say, "Oh, we don't want a military leader," but we've had examples of military leaders. In Ghana, we had Jerry John Rawlings, who did really well. Paul Kagame now, he's an ex-military, so they're not all warmongers who just want to take power and be like, some type of like, just some type of bully who just stays on top forever.
And as
But
long, oh, sorry, continue.
no, go ahead. No, you're good. You're good. Go ahead.
And as long as they have something like a plan to transition, to have an election, because
Yes.
ideally we wouldn't want to have a military leader junta like forever. They are there just to transition, to just, like, what do you call it, like reset, because things were not working. They're like, okay, let's fix things up, because there's a mess, so that like proper civilian governments can come in and do the right thing.
Yes, and that's exactly what I was going to say. So it's good that you jumped in there. And I think, with that being said, when they do jump in, making sure, I think with all these military coup d'états, when they jump in, it's not about taking the leader off. It's about forcing to change the institutions, the constitution. We have a Western-based uh, institution that's been put on us, and until that changes to fit the African way, uh, I think everything, like you said, is going to stay the same. We're going to have this cycle of repeat. So that's what, in essence, I feel about the coups.
Yeah, and I agree. This is, even though I feel like a bit off topic, Shelton wrote, the problem with Africa is tribalism and corruption, which I agree, like, completely. Okay, we can just touch on this and then continue with our conversation. But for me, obviously, tribalism is the most, I've said this on my channel so many times, I think the most horrible thing that is going on in our like continent is tribalism. And it's surprisingly, the more you know, the more you're like, oh my god, it's not just my country, it's like almost everywhere. And
Yes.
it's extremely, it just depends, or varies on the degree, from what I've seen. So it's just so disgusting, but at the same time we also have to understand, not fully completely blaming everything on the white man, let's say, but also tribalism in Rwanda. There is documentation of how they were pitting them against each other, saying your nose is like this, you're from this tribe, you're a bit lighter, you're here, and literally telling them you're bigger, better, and more superior than this one, creating a superiority inferiority complex, and for them to literally unalive one another. So we've
Yeah.
seen that, like the most ridiculous thing happening, right? But also corruption. We can't sit here and say corruption, our leaders are corrupt. Where is it coming from? Who are they corrupt with? Where are they selling?
Yes.
They're stealing. Where are they saving their money? Most of them are not even saving it in their own currency, in their own country. So we also have to understand, and I love say our corrupt leaders, our this, we just focused about here, who we can see. We just pointed finger and we stopped there, not realizing there is a more powerful invisible hand behind them, running things,
Right.
helping them, paying them, helping them exploit us. When you think about it, they're probably getting pennies compared to what these other nations are benefiting from this corruption that we're talking about. So
Oh
that's,
yeah, and that's huge because I mean, that's my whole thing with AOE, like asking why,
yeah.
right? So you're never going to get to a solution when you don't ask questions
Hmm.
because what you just mentioned, I don't, who's the doctor you just mentioned that just that went to
The
Arikana?
former African Union ambassador to the US.
Oh, okay, okay, okay. Yes, I know her. Yes, yeah, yeah. She. So, with that being said, when you ask yourself these questions, then we have a better chance to look at the solution. Because I think most of the time is especially in my country, Ghana, people would just say it's the leaders, and that's it, and that's the end of the conversation. So when we don't want to have a further conversation than that, it becomes something where we negate we negate a chance to look at, okay, here's the solution, because we don't want to have a further conversation. So what you just mentioned, or what the doctor mentioned as well, is very true. It's finding out why is this happening, and then okay, how can we get those people who are benefiting from their out of office, or just I don't know, is there any type of punishment? The number one thing too I want to mention, Wangel, is uh, your consequences. Like a lot of leaders do stuff in Africa, and there's no consequences. You know, so I think that the the severity of what you do, you know, besides the coup d'état, that's the only type of thing that we've seen. But there's no other consequences. Like you never see a politician going away to jail for the rest of for the rest of their life or anything like that, like you do in the West. And I think that's what lets people say, you know what is going to happen to me, you know.
Yeah.
So
I completely agree. There should be a consequence for betraying your country, and with bigger responsibilities, you're gonna be more accountable. Like you cannot be seen as the rest of the people. Like you've been given more responsibility, and you have to act accordingly. Shelton said, "Stop." I saw it earlier. I think I don't know. It's up there somewhere. He said, "Stop blaming the West for everything." Let me tell you something, Shelton. We're gonna blame the West when there's blame to put on them. We're not just gonna blame them and stop right there, right? We're gonna discuss how they've impacted things. And you know what, Shelton? I believe, honestly, we haven't even talked about the West enough, because we just started realizing what are real issues, where they come from. Now is when we're like, oh my God, wait. So honestly, I think we still have a few years to say, okay, now let's talk about something else. I'm being for real, because me personally, I've had
because they've done so much, they've done
yeah,
so much.
yes, and there's so much to uncover still, right? And so me personally, just few years is when I realized, like, the invisible hand Dr. Arikana was talking about. Or I have family members, close family members, just in few years ago, we sat down and we had a disagreement because they were telling me that why are all these other countries complaining when it's all in your hands and blah blah. And then guess what? It happened to Ethiopia, and now they're aware,
Yeah,
and now they know how everything goes, and they're
yeah, yeah.
okay. We're with you now.
Most of the time,
Stand
most
with.
of the times too, one gal. most of the times it's like you don't know until you see it, and that's why sometimes when I see comments like that, I'm like, I don't think you know the severity of what the impact that has been done by the West, and sometimes it's just, I think those comments are just like misled and maybe not fully grasping this situation, But that's where education comes in and says, okay, this is how this affects somebody who's living in a rural village somewhere in Tanzania or something like that,
Mm.
and maybe with that type of education, because for me, just reading some of the stuff is like all of the stuff that's been going on even 30 years ago is still having a profound effect on Africa.
Yeah, and as I said, the example I gave when it comes to Ethiopia, the people that were heroes of our own story history, right? But at the
Hmm.
same time,
Hmm.
you can't deny the history. You can't deny what is really going on right now. So most people believe that it happened in the past, and let's just move on. Let's not dwell on it. I get it if that was the truth. Unfortunately, that's not the truth. Like, that is not the truth at all. As we speak right now, Niger is
It's
accused
still going on.
of um, organizing military attacks right now, like in the current day state
Yes.
now. So
Yes.
I get the sentiment of let's move on. I agree with you, but we're moving on with the history, with the information, with the knowledge, because tomorrow we don't want to repeat the same thing. And unfortunately, it's not even history, it's the present. So we're going to talk about,
Yeah.
much as you're going to get tired of this, there are so many people that don't know. I will. I will talk about it. That's a promise. But go ahead, Eric.
Yes, it's still going on, so that means we have to talk about it so that it's known and people can put a stop to it. So unfortunately, I don't think that conversation is not going to stop anytime soon.
Yes. And Miss Goddess here said China is going through the back door, but I support Africa and their choices. I agree. Like, by the way, like, these points are valid in my opinion, but we also have to maybe like see, is this a saying, apples with oranges, or like, let's,
Yes.
yes, something like that, because I understand what you're saying, and I always say this, even with Russia, even though like they're better allies than the West, or even when it comes to China, they're not enforcing or pushing their own agendas on you when they're lending you money, and like there are things that we can compare them on, but still we still need to be independent. It doesn't matter if it's your best friend in the world, and because even them, they're looking out for themselves when they're lending you money or sending you food, grains that he just promised, or the $23 billion that he said he's going to forgive, or the weapon that he said he's going to give to his allies. He's doing that because he wants to benefit his own people and his own country, of course. Like, but even
Yes.
I want us to deal with these other nations in mind that we come first, but it's gonna be like, let's do a win-win. Thus far, the situation that we're complaining about is, it's not a win-win, it's an exploitation that we're saying no to, because
Hmm.
we
Hmm.
are partners in this world when we're living in this world. At the end of the day, we're not gonna live in a vacuum. Africa is not just gonna exist on its own. So if that's gonna happen, we need to be able to work with these people. But how are we working with them? And you need to also prioritize, like, you're like, if you've burned me before, and let's say Russia has done nothing to me, like as a South Africa, and they've actually helped me with apartheid, who are you to tell me ditch them,
Right. Yeah.
with them, I'm gonna put sanctions on you, I'm gonna kick you out of AGOA? That's what the US was telling South Africa, literally.
Yeah.
So
That's
I mean,
crazy.
I understand Miss Goddess's point, but we also need to be able to compare things differently, and also deal with different partners differently, while still keeping ourselves first, our priorities, our peoples first, and make sure that the contracts, the deals we're making are a win-win kind of deals. That's my opinion on that.
I agree, but and another thing too
Yeah,
is like there's a quote out there. I don't know if you know. It's like it goes something like this: like every day that we're alive, we're getting
yeah,
closer to death, right?
yeah.
So in that sense, relating that to what Miss Goddess is saying is like we have to pick our poison. Everybody, no matter what, since the beginning of time, everybody's worked with one another, getting products from one another before even the discovery of Africa or when we called it Africa.
Hmm.
So we have to work with one another, whether we like it or not, and finding some way to work and make deals that benefit us. So picking our poison meaning that they're going to come and take the products whether we like it or not, but we have to make good deals that fit and benefit the people who are living on in those various countries in Africa.
Yep.
So we have to just make sure we're making those good deals.
I agree with that. Nia said Gabon is a family coup, but the others in the Sahel is necessary and organic, in my opinion. But a junta, not a permanent solution. It is a temporary one. A band-aid yeah, at the very least. Yes, Nia. I agree with you. Unfortunately, that like I didn't come out and say, like, let's say for me personally, Eric will tell us your opinion. The Gabon one, I just, let's see, because even within family there are aren't we different, all of us? Like in my family there's the black sheep of the family. There are people that don't agree with this. There are
Mm.
people that are capitalist ideology, the socialist, like there's a difference. So I'm not standing up for these people, or I don't know, but I'm just saying for now I'm holding on, like I'm holding my mouth, like I'm biting whatever the
You're
thing.
biting your tongue.
I'm biting my tongue, not saying anything
You
until
will
we
make a
get
good
more.
lawyer because you're making a case for them.
No way! Stop it. Nope. In no way, shape, or form I'm going to support the Bongo family. They've done so much harm. But what if this also was not what we're thinking? Because you see what my issue is in this world, especially in this mainstream media world. When the mainstream media is actually talking about this, I'm like, do you benefit from making us believe that this is actually not a real coup? Just
Right.
crossed my mind because I've seen this manipulation so many times. I'm not saying it looks suspicious for sure. 100%. I'm side eyeing, I'm paying attention. It's not looking good, I'll say that, but we don't know for sure. We're speculating, is what I'm trying to say. But yes, it's not looking good. It's not looking
Yes.
like the others, like the Mali, like the Burkina Faso, even Niger. It's not looking like that, that's for sure.
Yeah, and to her point or his point, I'm sorry. Uh, the Sahel region seemed like they all colluded and did this together. Because if you remember when I think Niger, when people were trying to go to war with Niger, other people, Mali and I think Burkina Faso, said they would come in, and it's if you guys fight them, it's war to the whole country. So I think they have come together and said, all right, we're going to get the French out of there. So Gabon is it does come off as like a wild card. Like they came in out of nowhere, and they're taking advantage of the situation to get oh, we kicked out the Bongo family. So there's so much room for conspiracy. But like you said, you can be a good member of the family and say, you know what,
Yeah.
this is enough. We have to do good for the people now.
Yeah.
So just be optimistic about it, I guess.
Yeah, but and also we've seen how happy the people of Gabon were. Like their
Yes.
reaction was just priceless, and it told me exactly what I needed to know about the Bongos, about their situation, about how they felt like they had no voice and they've been exploited. And so it almost makes you feel like even if this was a family thing, now it has shown them how the people, majority, not like the 50, 60, 70%, like overwhelming number of people, how they feel now. Tomorrow maybe
So
they'll.
Leslie, here's a question. Here, I have a question for you. I
Okay.
have a question for you.
Mm.
So, if the majority of the people were celebrating on the streets, all that, and I think a week or a month before there was just the elections. So, I mean, is the election system working? Because these are the same people who supposedly voted for you.
They did.
Is it?
That's it though.
So it makes me
That's it
question the
though.
question.
Yeah, I don't believe they voted
Yeah,
for him. I don't. Like this
yeah.
can't be true. There's no way Ali Bongo won that election fair and square. No way. We've seen the people and
But
how
you have CNN say that's a democratically elected president.
I mean, there you go. There's your answer. Like when someone there's your answer. Yeah. If they, because like it doesn't matter how fair an election is, they always have something to say about it. The mainstream media always
Yes.
have something to say about it.
Yes.
Like
Yeah.
all of a sudden now everything is fair? Yeah, right. Right.
Yeah.
um that's an interesting way of saying it. Eugenio said there are no corrupt leaders. Most leaders are micromanaged. What do you think about that statement?
Mm, interesting. I listen. I would have to strongly disagree. I don't know about that one.
Uh huh. You disagree?
Yeah.
Yeah, but in a way, it's funny because for you to be micromanaged, you are hired, right? And you have a boss.
Right.
You
Right.
work for, right? In a way,
Right.
like I get what they're saying. Um, Let me see. I'm trying to see if someone chimed in about the coup situation. Um, Texvor said, "How can the cradle of civilization, the oldest societies on earth, need help from the West or China? Modern Africa needs to connect with other black nations, communities, and stand on her own feet." I agree. I agree, Tex. I agree. What are your thoughts on this comment?
What was that again? I missed that.
He said, how can the cradle of civilization, the oldest societies on earth, need help from the West or China? Modern Africa needs to connect with other black nations, communities, and stand on her own feet.
Okay. I mean, yeah, we're gonna have issues if people keep disrupting our growth, our way of thinking. You know what I mean? Our the way we from everything, the way we eat, the way we talk, how we socialize with one another. So a lot of stuff has been put there. Even today, some of the stuff that maybe we think is culture has been imposed on us. So it's going to hinder your growth. For instance, you just talked about it on the AOE Live forum, where if all these things from us getting so much help from these countries is hindering our growth as well. So it's a numerous amount of things that would make me want to say, yeah, we are the cradle of civilization, but it's because of so many interruptions that we're still not doing it the African way as much as we would like to, and that's what we need to get to at the turn of the century.
Yep. Um, Dynamite said, "Is there one country in the world that is not corrupt?" I don't think so. I mean, okay, maybe
No.
let's say there's always going to be an exception, just so we don't make a blanket statement. But we're seeing the list being exposed even in the U.S. The ones that are what holier than thou and the bully of the world that tell us that we should be
Yes.
like them. We see how they are. We see all the. I remember even reading a story about the royal family in the UK and them taking money from one of the Arab countries. I forgot, Middle East. Like
Wow.
there is, yeah, I remember. I thought I did a story on it, but it's been a while. Like, so look, it's actually the accusation was against. Then he was Prince Charles. Now I guess he's the king because the queen is dead.
Hmm.
Yeah. So
Yes.
yeah, of course, I
Yeah.
agree
That's. I
with you.
mean,
But yeah, continue.
with I don't know if we can say one because it's just like work, or the police office. Let's look at just police officers, right? You can have so many people who are working there, but you can't make everyone a good cop. You know what I mean? You're gonna have somebody corrupt in the system somewhere. So it's a good thought, or maybe a good want to have. But no matter what, you're gonna have somebody be corrupt, somebody be off. So.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. Keisha said, "Tell the truth and shame the devil." Uh, Let me see. Even the Bible warns us about the white men and what they are in various texts. That's what text said. Moha said, "For me, the elephant in the room is the West. Then we can take care of internal issues among us." Let's be real. Yeah, that's
Hmm.
see the thing is, we can do both things at the same time, right?
Yes.
Yes, you can prioritize certain things, but then also you expose evil. You say no to exploitation. You say no to policies that are going to hurt your people, that are going to hurt you. You say no to that, right? But at the same time, you continue moving forward. For example, if it's, I remember a few years back, they suspended AGOA in Ethiopia, which is the the deal America gave to African countries to give them like a free tax kind of exporting so that they benefit, and it hires millions of people in Ethiopia. They stopped it because
Oh
they
wow.
government. Yup, they stopped it. So like over 1 million Ethiopians were like, oh my god, like my job, I provide, I do this, what, because they disagreed on some political issues with the government. They kicked Ethiopia out of that. So what Ethiopia didn't beg at that moment. They said, okay, fine, we'll take our losses. We'll try to create our own industries so that we can benefit those same people that lost their jobs and the people that are there right now. Let's do that. So you can still say no to evil, still say no to being exploited, while coming up with a plan how you're going to fix it so that you're not going to be in the same position again.
Right.
Because the stupidest thing to do is say,
Yes.
please take me again, and then continue with them, abide by their laws. Next year, you might disagree on something. 5 years from now, they might hate the new
Yeah.
government and try to do the same thing. But if
Yeah.
you were working on a strategy or a system that will now have more industries, manufacturing, and the same, because it was a textile industry mostly. So that textile industry, if it's blooming,
Mm.
now when they're like, okay, we're gonna do this to you, you'll be like China, you laugh at them. I just saw a video yesterday. There was a British reporter asking, I believe it was the Chinese foreign minister, I forgot. He was like, so China, why do you guys want to be enemies or compete with Britain or something? And then the guy was like, what are
Yes, I saw that video.
God, what are we competing
Yes, I saw that video.
technology? Because China is like doing much better than Britain. What are we competing on?
Yes, yes.
China is the number one. This, that, like he pointed out everything and he's like, no, we're not competing. Like there's no competition with you guys. We're just trying to be friendly because we don't want enemies. Oh, I loved that video so much. I want us to get to that stage of, I don't care what you think about this. I don't care what you're gonna say about this. You're gonna treat me as
Exactly.
equal because I'm also powerful and I hold some kind of value in this relationship.
Yeah, and so I have a question for
Yeah.
your viewers and
Hmm.
for you as well. So, but the first thing I want to say is, yes, you are at the mercy of whoever you take money from. At the end of the day, that's just how it goes. If somebody lends you this, even if it's not money, if they lend you something, most of the times, unless it's a gift, you're obligated to give back in a
Hmm.
way. You know what
Hmm.
I mean? Or at least give back the same value that they gave you. So
Yeah.
my question to your viewers and your guests, I mean, viewers and you as well, is so I know China has like the what decade of embarrassment or your century of embarrassment. They have something like that where they said, okay, we're gonna sit down and we're gonna fix our country. And they basically got people from the diaspora bringing money in. They took everybody into schools. Schools was the big focus. Is there a big sacrifice that we can make, right, in the near future? Because I don't think people will do stuff for free in Africa, right? Not saying that people in China did it for free, but they had a sense of, I'm just fixing my country. I'm just fixing our country, and we're going to get this place to the best level. And I don't know, as poor as China was, I'm just assuming, I don't think they paid everybody at that level. They just focused on building it. And now the next generation is reaping the benefits. Is that something, a sacrifice that we have to look at as a whole? Like, guys, it's not going to be pretty, but if we want Africa to get there within our lifetime, some of us are going to have to sacrifice this, that type of gruesome service. You know what I mean? Because with Europe, they had slave labor to bring them to where they are. With China, they just basically, almost all of them, they had the numbers and they did free almost free labor to build China to where it is now. I'm trying to see, where is it that we can do it so we can have a respectability, as to your point, to then when we go to other countries, we say, okay, well, we have this now, because I think that's what we're missing, that sacrifice to get to that next level. So what do you think? Do you think that's something that's going to happen? Do you think we're going to do it?
I hope that we're gonna do it. I'm optimistic, but as you said, the Chinese wanted to be the best at what they're doing, right? They were willing to do anything and everything to succeed and to better their their people, right? But as for us, I think it starts by working on our young minds. Of course, there's so many things that needs to be done, so many things. But at the top of my head, what comes to my mind is You know how, for example, the agendas that we're always talking about and saying this is nonsense when it comes to the West and the LGBT,
Yes.
whatever. Why
Yes. Yes. Yes.
target kids and young minds and the youth and education and with the things that they're teaching you at a very young age? Because that sticks with you, because that's true influence, because you're impressionable when you're very young. So if we can fix our education system more practically, for example, as a government, you have educational system, the system that we've taken so much of from, even that from the West, unfortunately, and it's for
Yes.
theory. For example, I'm sure you've watched these videos before. In China, the kids are learning at 4, 5, 6 years of age how to make things, how to engineer, how to fix things, how they
Hmm.
literally have classes on how to do things. They're helping their kids have an innovative mind, how to create. They're learning at a very young age how to create. What are we learning? We're sitting in schools and learning theory and just repeating what they're telling us. That's it.
Right.
We don't go out
Right.
and do those things. We don't learn, for example, at a very young age. There's very small number of schools that do this. Cooking, gardening. There are some I've seen. I was so impressed. Cooking, gardening, sewing, those are life skills. Finance at a very young age, by giving them, like, if I give you this and you put it in a piggy bank and stuff like that. So at a very young age, if
Yes.
focus on the education, more so traditional education, as well as it can be a blend of what worked in China, Germany, because Germany, I also saw they do the exact same thing. At a very young age, they teach them how to make stuff, pull it apart, put it together, and stuff like that. And we buy our cars from them. Their cars are the most expensive, even though unreliable. I don't understand why are they unreliable.
The
Here for another day. But
brand. The brand. The brand.
yeah, they're pretty. You're like, ooh, when I grow up, I want that. And then you hear about the issues people face, and you're like, no. And there's a saying here. They're like, it's a German car. You're like, oh, okay, that's why it has so many issues. Like that's. But they're good,
But so
fancy, comfortable, all that. But if you're rich and you can maintain them, they're the best, I guess. So what I'm saying is there's so many things that you can do, but it starts from, I think, empowering our youth. Same thing goes for after, like,
so education.
oh, sorry, can you hear me? What did you say?
So you said. So you said education, right?
Education. The first thing that comes to my mind is educating our kids and changing the system that is now right there, because it is grooming them to be just employees is fine. We all need employees is fine. I'm not saying it's not good. I'm saying not everyone can be employees. We'll still need those engineers, we'll still need those innovators and creatives and people that are going to actually change the world and hire the employees. Not all of us can be creators, not all of us can be like the world changers, right? Because I don't want people to think employee is fine, but not everyone should aspire for that, because not everyone is created the same, right? So for me, I think at the very least I start from education. But yeah, what do you think? And comment.
I want to bring something up. I want to bring something up that I hope I want to see what you think as well. Is what do you think about the outside influence? Like, as much as we talk about the somebody behind the curtains controlling it, somebody with a powerful hand controlling what's going on in Africa.
Mm-hmm.
Most of the time, when you look at a lot of these countries, they are solely focused on their country. Like, Indians are solely focused on India. China's solely focused on China. I'm not saying we block out other media, but are we then looking at the West so much that we're, like, for instance, if you want to do something in Africa, it's priced in dollars most of the times, right? And so you have something where, like, people are trying to get the pay rate of somebody in America. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I mean? And when that happens, is we don't have that infrastructure to pay in U.S. dollars yet. So my whole thing is, like, maybe we have to solidify. Okay, this is what we're doing. We can't look at what they're doing. They are 10 steps ahead, and
Mm-hmm.
then hone in. I think sometimes blocking out the noise, as well as education, as you mentioned, will help us hopefully get to the next step.
Yes, but to
That's
your
my opinion
point,
on it.
I agree. But to your point, you cannot be an authoritarian or a dictator and say block out all this. There's so much junk like to being exposed to the West ideology and social media. I understand that. But you know how at least we can reduce the impact? Again, by instilling the values and our principles and the way our parents raised us, of course with some moderation, because not everything can be passed down. I refuse to pass down a few things, but we what it I mean, for real, in moderation. But you see, for example, me, if I can take myself as an example, I have family members that have basically been raised in the West, so they're more culturally westernized and their ideology is way different than mine, right? But we're the same blood, right? Cousins or whatever. um but the thing is, I was brought up in the culture where I was, with everyone paying attention to me, with the right amount of history and everything. So now, when I grow up, even though I'm exposed to probably whatever you see in the news, I'm seeing it. Tweet goes out viral, you probably saw it. I saw the same video earlier. You told me I saw that video. It's because me and you have the same access, even though you're in the
Yes.
right. Doesn't matter if you're in Africa, as long as you
Right.
have Wi-Fi, internet, and your laptop and your phone, we're in the same level right now. So thankfully social media has, leveled the ground. It has its negatives, but the pros are also positive. That's what's right now moving the, our revolution basically. So
Yes.
even though I'm exposed right now, and I do believe I'm a little bit also influenced with the things that I watch, I can totally tell you, I can say without a doubt from what I've seen, I am less influenced compared to those that were just raised by that, if that makes sense.
So,
So,
but so that's what
enough.
I get
Yep.
that, but that's you. I get that, but that's you.
But I
You would
also
be
have people
surprised. So many
around
people.
me. But I also have people around. Like I'm saying, it's not gonna be everyone. I understand because people are different. We're wired differently, and our minds work differently, and our influence threshold is also very different. But at the same time, like my generation, let's say, like the girls I went to school with, the friends I had, my brothers, the people like that were. It's not just me. I'm giving as an example, but the people that are around me. Yes, it's different.
Okay.
Some are influenced way more. I have a best friend that is filled with tattoos, and she's
Yeah.
like, I get it. But still, even her values, if you dig deep, it's not too far from mine. You get what I
It's
mean?
still there.
It's still
Okay.
there.
Okay.
Whatever is instilled in you at a very young
But
age,
so here's my
that
thing though.
stick with you, in my opinion.
But so here's my thing though. When you say it like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
There are certain things that other countries make sure that don't infiltrate their countries. For instance, like some countries will say, okay, we're banning, LGBTQ. We don't want that to infiltrate our kids,
Oh, mm-hmm.
right? Not necessarily being like a super supreme leader, or in a sense. Like for instance, do you know that the iPhone 15 that's coming out is because the European Union said we only want to use this type of charging port, so
Oh
they
yeah, yeah,
forced
yeah, yeah.
Apple
The
to
US,
change it.
yeah. The what is it called?
So
That chart. Yeah, yeah. Hmm.
USB-C.
Yeah.
So it's like we have to have a standard, and
Mm.
then we say, okay, this type of media doesn't come into because it's like whatever we consume, even though we don't spit it back out, it's still in us because now it's infiltrated our head. So that in a sense, I'm saying like they like some people are filtering. It's also time for us to filter what we need and what we don't like. For instance, a lot of people have backlash versus LGBTQ. They filtered it. Maybe we figure out what we need to filter, and then we don't allow it in a sense,
No, of course, I agree
or
with
we
you.
minimize
There
it.
needs to be a filter. What I said by ban is, for example, China bans the, like, what is it, YouTube or whatever, but people still use VPN and use, like, when you're in China, you can still use those things. And
Yeah,
I'm
yeah, yeah,
saying it's just
yeah.
PR. Like, I'm like, well, okay, you banned it, and then what? Because people will still use it. Was my point. But yeah, I get your point.
Okay, okay, yeah, yeah, yeah. People are still gonna find their ways. So yeah, you're right on that.
Yeah, but what matters is, I feel like really investing in the next generation. Let them love themselves, right?
Oh yeah,
Loving themselves, loving
oh yeah.
like our differences, our like how you are, everything about you, outside, inside, knowing, because when you know, at a very young age that like you're that, you're this, you're that, it's going to be very hard for the world now to change your mind on that, right? And so if
Yes.
you also learn
Yes.
skills when you're younger, it's going to be hard for you to forget about those skills once you grow up and worse comes worse and they tell you you have to have a chip to go to work. You're like, I can just go door to door and fix this and get my money and still eat. You know what I mean? Like we're still going to find out
Yes.
survive.
Yes.
You just need to
I
learn how
agree.
to survive in this world. But yeah, it was
I
an
agree.
interesting conversation to say the least. But if you have anything to say to us, Eric, feel free to tell us what do you want to leave us with. And I also want to read
Okay.
how
Sure.
right here what where can they find you as well.
On Instagram, Twitter, or X, I should call it now, and YouTube, it's all AOE Africa. Okay.
AO. Is there a space?
AOE Africa, one word.
Oh, one word.
Come again?
No, was there a
Yep.
space? But you answered me.
Okay. The only thing I'll leave you with is maybe I wanted to try to organize a space.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you're on X, but if you're on X or Twitter, formerly known as Twitter, I want to organize a space and try to get a whole bunch of Pan Africanists in that space. I'm trying to reach out to Professor Lumumba and several others to join and basically come and gather around and have a consensus on, okay, this is what we have in place. For instance, like we talked about Agenda 2063. All right, who are the people that we have to push to get this thing to see, who do we have to kind of put on the pedestal to ask, okay, what's going on with this thing, and get them into these type of get them into these type of spaces. So I'm starting a space coming soon, and hopefully you can join me in there as a panel, one of the panel members, and then we can kind of maybe get answers to these questions and try to see what is going on. You guys said this by this, we need this by now. African passports by 2024. What is the progress on that? Is it delayed? Is it, you know what I mean? So I'm really want to start questioning and hounding and trying to figure out, because sometimes if you don't ask, you're not going to get, so.
Okay, yes, let me know when it's gonna happen in advance, and then I'll join as well. And even our audience here, you can find him on the handle that I just wrote there, so you can follow up on his space that he's gonna have, as well as on Instagram.
Thank you so much for having me, one girl. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much for coming through, and I had a really good conversation. I'm pretty sure our friends also enjoyed because they were commenting.
Yeah,
And
I see a lot of comments in here.
yeah, they were engaged, which is good.
That's good.
So yeah, thank
Okay.
you.
Well, I'll see you again soon.
Okay, see you soon. Bye everyone.
Ciao.
Ciao. See you next
Bye.
week. Bye.